Cassie Ventura stated in a court filing that she resides outside the United States and does not intend to move back. The filing is connected to an ongoing lawsuit involving former male escort Clayton Howard. Cassie stated she is a U.S. citizen but not a California resident. She argued that New York would be a more convenient location for legal proceedings than California. The update comes after her testimony in the federal case involving Sean Diddy Combs. A few allegations mentioned in Clayton Howard's lawsuit remain allegations and have not been proven in court. Have you ever watched someone disappear right after becoming one of the most talked about people in America? Because that's exactly what seems to have happened with Cassie Ventura. For years, her name was tied to one of the biggest celebrity scandals the entertainment world has ever seen. Courtrooms, headlines, shocking testimony, and millions of people following every twist and turn. But then, just when the spotlight was at its brightest, Cassie quietly made a move that nobody saw coming. No announcement, no farewell interview, no dramatic social media post. Instead, buried inside legal documents was a revelation that left fans stunned. Cassie says she no longer lives in the United States. In fact, she says she doesn't plan on coming back. Why would a celebrity with fame, money, and a family suddenly leave the country behind? Was it about privacy, protection, a fresh start? Or is there a much bigger story hiding behind the legal battle that's still unfolding? Because the deeper you look into these court filings, the stranger the situation becomes, and the final revelation might be the most shocking of all. So, imagine opening a routine court document and finding a statement that instantly sends celebrity news fans into detective mode. That's exactly what happened when newly filed legal documents revealed something nobody was expecting from Cassie Ventura. Not a new album, not a new business venture, not even a major interview. Instead, a simple sentence, a sentence that quietly changed the entire conversation. And honestly, the internet immediately started asking questions, because according to those court documents, Cassie says she now lives outside the United States. And not only that, she says she has no intention of moving back. Now, if you've been following Cassie's story over the past few years, you already know why this revelation grabbed so much attention. Her life has been anything but quiet. What once looked like a glamorous celebrity relationship eventually became the center of lawsuits, investigations, shocking allegations, and courtroom testimony that dominated headlines around the world. So hearing that she's chosen to build her life somewhere outside the US, yeah, people noticed. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start with what actually happened. Because this story didn't begin with a relocation announcement, it began inside a legal dispute. And that's where things get interesting. According to the filing, Cassie's statement came as part of an ongoing lawsuit involving Clayton Howard. Howard is a former male escort who claims he participated in so-called freak-off involving Cassie and Sean Diddy Combs. His lawsuit contains numerous allegations against both parties. Important to note, these are allegations made in a civil case and not findings of fact by a court, but the lawsuit has become another chapter in a larger story that has already attracted massive public attention. As part of the legal proceedings, Cassie submitted a declaration that included details about where she currently lives. And that's when the surprise emerged. She stated that although she remains a United States citizen, she is not a resident of California. Then came the line that immediately generated headlines. I reside outside of the United States. And then, an even bigger statement. I do not intend to move back to the United States. That's not exactly a temporary vacation. That's not someone saying they're spending a few months overseas. That's a statement that sounds permanent, or at least very close to it. Naturally, people wanted answers. Where did she move? When did she leave? What country is she living in? But here's the thing. Those details weren't included in the filing. So while the documents confirm she lives abroad, her exact location remains unknown. And honestly, that mystery only made people more curious. For many celebrities, privacy is a luxury. The more famous you become, the harder it is to disappear. Every coffee run becomes a headline. Every vacation becomes a photo gallery. Every family outing becomes social media content. But Cassie's life has changed dramatically over the past several years. She's no longer known only as a singer, or a model, or a celebrity girlfriend. Her name became linked to one of the most talked about legal sagas in entertainment history. And with that attention came enormous public scrutiny. So when people learned she had quietly relocated abroad, many immediately began wondering if this was her way of creating distance from all the noise. Of course, only Cassie knows the real reasons, but the timing certainly got people talking. The filing also explains why her location matters in this lawsuit. According to Cassie, if the legal proceedings continue, participating from New York would be much easier than participating in California. Why? Because her attorneys are based in New York, and because, according to the filing, no parties involved in the action currently reside in California. It's a legal argument, a logistical argument, but it also provided an unexpected glimpse into how much her life has changed behind the scenes. Because when most people think about celebrities, they often imagine luxury homes, red carpets, private jets, and glamorous events. What they don't always think think about are the years spent dealing with legal disputes, court appearances, depositions, lawyers, public attention, and the emotional weight that can come with all of it, especially when deeply personal matters become public. To understand why this latest development matters, we have to rewind for a moment, because Cassie's name returned to headlines in a major way after she became a key witness in the federal case involving Sean Diddy Combs. Her testimony attracted enormous media coverage. People followed every update, every courtroom development, every report coming out of the proceedings. For weeks, it seemed impossible to escape the story. News outlets covered it continuously. Social media analyzed every detail. Comment sections exploded with reactions. And through it all, Cassie remained one of the central figures in the conversation. Now imagine experiencing all of that. Imagine having some of the most personal moments of your life discussed by millions of strangers, day after day, week after week. It's not difficult to understand why someone might eventually crave a quieter life. And that's where another important detail enters the picture. Cassie isn't alone. She's a wife. She's a mother. She shares 3 children with her husband, Alec Vine. For many parents, priorities change dramatically once children enter the picture. Suddenly it's less about headlines, less about fame, less about public attention, and more about family, more about stability, more about peace. Again, nobody outside her inner circle knows exactly what motivated her decision, but many observers have pointed to the possibility that family played a major role. Light smile. Honestly, if your life spent years looking like a Hollywood drama, a quiet life abroad probably sounds pretty appealing. No endless paparazzi, no constant speculation, no daily entertainment headlines, just family, routine, and a chance to breathe. Of course, the internet had theories. The internet always has theories. Some people wondered whether she moved for privacy. Others believed she wanted distance from ongoing legal issues. A few even started guessing specific countries, but without confirmation, those remain exactly what they are: guesses. And right now, Cassie hasn't publicly revealed where she lives, so the mystery continues, building tension. But here's where things become even more fascinating, because while headlines focused on her departure from America, the lawsuit itself hasn't disappeared. In fact, Cassie's legal team has been aggressively challenging the claims made against her. A motion obtained by news outlets described Howard's lawsuit as baseless. That's strong language, very strong language, and it signals that her legal team intends to fight the allegations rather than quietly settle them. Which means, even though she's living outside the country, the legal battle may still have a long road ahead. And legal battles can be unpredictable. Cases evolve, arguments change, new filings appear, judges make rulings. What seems certain one month can look completely different the next. That's why many legal observers are paying close attention to what happens next. Because while Cassie may have physically moved away from the United States, the legal story is still unfolding. There's also something surprisingly symbolic about this moment. Think about where Cassie was just a few years ago, constantly connected to one of the entertainment industry's biggest power figures, frequently photographed, frequently discussed, frequently scrutinized. Fast forward to today, and the conversation has changed. Now people are talking about relocation, privacy, family, healing, new beginnings. It's a completely different chapter. Sometimes the biggest celebrity stories aren't about new relationships, or surprise albums, or dramatic social media feuds. Sometimes they're about something much simpler, starting over. And starting over can look very different depending on who you are. For some people, it means a new job. For others, a new city. For others, apparently a new country. And that's what makes this story so compelling, because beneath the lawsuits and headlines is a very human question. What do you do after living through years of public turmoil? How do you rebuild? How do you move forward? How do you create a life that feels normal again? Those aren't celebrity questions. Those are human questions. Right now, many of those answers remain private. Cassie isn't giving daily interviews. She's not posting detailed updates explaining every decision. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the silence is intentional. Maybe the privacy is intentional. Maybe the distance is intentional. Or maybe she's simply focused on living her life. What we do know is this: court documents confirm that Cassie Ventura now lives outside the United States. They confirm that she says she has no plans to move back. They confirm that legal battles connected to past events are still continuing. And they confirm that one of the most talked about figures in recent celebrity news has quietly begun a completely different chapter. Where that chapter leads next, nobody knows. Maybe the story continues in another courtroom. Maybe it continues in another country. Or maybe, for the first time in a very long time, it continues far away from the spotlight. And sometimes, the most powerful move a celebrity can make isn't stepping into the spotlight, it's walking away from it. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't just scroll away. Smash the like button like it owes you money. Subscribe right now, because stories like this don't stay quiet for long. And comment below what you think really happened here: privacy move, or something deeper, because honestly, the internet hasn't even scratched the surface yet.